I'm sorry, I'm sighing here because I want to get to this next caller here. Now, folks, we are going to try this once, and we're going to see if we can ever do this again. But he's on the line right now. I have Otangelo calling in from Brazil. Oh, you got the volume in the background there. If you could turn that down, thank you. You are live on Truth Wanted. What's going on?
Yes, hello, Dan. Hello, Jessica. I heard you earlier in a previous call, Dan, where you said that you think that at school children are indoctrinated with religion, and that you think that science doesn't lead to God claims, but rather to naturalism.
Hey, wait, a timeout. I don't think I. Whoa. I didn't say that. Did you say that, Jessica? I don't think I said that.
It doesn't sound like something I would say.
I don't think I used the word naturalism. I don't think I said the word indoctrination. I don't think I said any of that. So.
I feel like indoctrination might have been in there a little bit. I will.
I'd have to relate the takes, but that take was not my take. That was not my take. So I don't know.
If you said it, it's not what you. Okay.
Okay, maybe you can clarify. I don't want to say something which you didn't say. So maybe you can rephrase exactly what you meant by that statement which you made previously.
Which statement exactly?
Well, yeah, you were talking about indoctrination at school and that you think that science leads somewhere else, something like that, right?
Dan, you were talking a little bit earlier about like Christian indoctrination in children and that they might not get a full education if...
Oh, yeah, that. Okay, yeah, okay. So like, well... Yeah, in a Christian school or Christian context, there is an element there of a, like, you know, you get a pseudoscientific version of the world rather than a scientific one. Yeah, okay, there's elements of that. I guess you could call that indoctrination. I don't know if I use that word, but I make that argument for it. Sure.
Precisely. So I would like to talk to you in regards of precisely that. So you think that the interpretation of the natural world by saying it is created. Do you think this is based on pseudoscientific claims?
Yes, that the world was created in 6,000 years ago, and that evolution, isn't thing. Specific creationist talking points are definitely not scientific. Whether or not the world was created, I'm not even sure if you can examine that really in any meaningful scientific context, because I don't know what evidence in a scientific sense would look like that the world was created. But yeah, does that answer your question?
Okay, so you would say that the natural physical world is better explained by natural non-intelligent means. Is that correct?
Well,
evolution versus intelligent design, is that what you're getting after?
Yeah, like our natural explanations.
There is a true dichotomy here. Yeah, there is a true dichotomy here. Either God created the world or not, right?
Sure.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's other options as far as creation goes, but I guess in like a pure logic sense, he could have did or didn't, yeah.
Okay, so you believe there is no God, right?
Do I believe there is no God? Ooh, what a question. I do not have a God belief. I don't know of any gods that I recognize to be like that I could demonstrate to be true or real or demonstrable. So I don't have a belief, an active belief in any particular God, no, or anything that I recognize as a God. But that's also using a very specific understanding of the word God. There's people have different ideas of what that could mean, but that's why I prefer the atheist label on this one.
I would God define in very basic terms like an intelligent, eternal, powerful creator, which is necessary and ultimate, and which instantiated the physical world, upon which the physical world is dependent. And either you believe such a God exists or not.
Okay, so say for conversation, we believe no such God exists.
Right, okay. So if you don't believe that such God exists, you need to be able to provide better explanations of our existence rather to a creator, right?
I don't think I do. No.
No, sorry, bud.
Yeah.
Not at all. You can't prove a negative.
Because, I mean,
That's
if I
like
see
literally
in
the whole
side
thing.
Chat, if I see in the side chat there it says that the ACA promotes positive atheism. Now, what is the colloquial meaning of positive atheism? It is actually the assertion that most likely there are no gods, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, when we say, yeah, like we want to create a positive community, like that's why the word positive's in there, of atheists. That's kind of the point. But this is kind of a side thing. I'm not sure. Are we still talking about the other thing, or are we talking about what the ACA does?
Can you like ask us your question and then we can maybe...
Well, I am asking because either you just hold a weak atheist belief, that is, you reject any God claims, or you hold the belief that actually there are no gods, and then, of course, you have the burden of proof, and you need to provide better explanations than creationism does in order to explain the existence of the physical.
Otangelo, no,
right?
You need to provide better explanations for why pink unicorns, created the universe. I think pink unicorns created the universe. And if you have a better explanation, if you don't believe that, you need to have a better explanation than that.
I mean, my translation says they're blue, but yeah, essentially the same.
It's you see this kind of reasoning, like it doesn't work. Like you can't just say, well, this is the truth right here, and you need to provide a counterexample for why it's not true. You have to support the case for why your thing is true. And so far, I haven't heard that in this call. If you have a case as to why you believe that is truth, then by all means. But you can't just start with that assumption. It doesn't really work like that.
Dan, I actually called in because you said that you think that creationism is pseudoscience. Okay.
Yeah, creationism is pseudoscience. I will make that claim. Yeah.
Okay. So if you say that, then you actually state implicitly that natural non-intelligent mechanisms have better explanatory power and that they support scientific evidence, right?
Are you asking us to explain science?
I do think like natural explanations are usually are definitely more demonstrable than ones that aren't natural, like paranormal explanations. Yeah. Like if there was an event that happened, my default is going to be typically, that's a natural thing. Now, does that mean that the paranormal or the supernatural couldn't be an explanation? No, but it is going to be the default in my thinking because I have yet to see good reason to believe otherwise.
Okay. So, what we have as evidence is the physical natural world. And we have two possible competing hypotheses. One is that a creator in
Hey, can I stop you there? There's not really two different hypotheses.
I gave you a third one, dude. The unicorns. Were you not listening? Come on. That's a hypothesis.
Yeah, what you're doing here is setting up a false binary. What you're saying is it's either A or it's B. And if we think it's B, we have to prove why we think it's B. But really, it is A. And then a bunch of other people had a bunch of other ideas that haven't really come into fruition. And they're not all the same as what you believe. There's people who believe creation happened differently than the 6 days that the Bible said.
Christianity has never been the oldest story of creation. It isn't. There are hundreds and thousands of other stories that have come before the Christian explanation or the Jewish explanation, if you want to be technical, right? So for you to say, oh, this is the one, and you have to prove otherwise, well, hang on, your Christianity is late to the game in terms of like explanations. So why don't we talk about those other ones?
Yeah, I mein, what I posit is that there are two competing worldviews. One is a bucket where you can basically put all God or God's claims in plural, and these are always intelligent, powerful beings which are eternal at the beginning of everything. And in the other bucket, you remove gods, and there is simply no God.
Yeah, well, that's your problem. You
think
divided the
if
world
you
into
have-
two buckets, and the world is not two buckets. I don't want you to keep going on this because we've already said this a couple times. Your thinking is wrong on this. There are other explanations that you have to explore, and to divide it up into those two categories is not sufficient. It's just not.
Okay, would you disagree that this is a true dichotomy? Either there is a God, as I defined it, or in
Yeah.
plural, or not.
Yeah, that dichotomy you mentioned earlier is different from the
That's
thing
true
you just said.
dichotomy.
Right?
Yeah.
So those are two different
The,
things. But
the
anyway.
existence of God does not necessitate the creation myth. Even if we gave you that there is a God out there, we don't have any evidence to say that he's like got his little fingers in and like creating things and fixing them. Like, even if we give you, you're like, oh yeah, statistically, there's likely a God. That still doesn't get us any further into a creation myth. That just gets us to the natural world that is overseen by, I don't know, dude in beard.
No, Jessica, what I am basically trying to do is to create a framework upon which you can actually do investigation and see where the evidence leads to.
We
And I
already
think
have that.
this
It's called
is
science.
here.
Yeah, but
Like-
I'm sorry. But like, go to the museum. Like, there's evidence, and it's not me, a writer from Chicago's job to explain to like all of the world why. Like, I can't explain how the Big Bang works because I'm not a scientist, but I trust
Mhm.
science and I trust the scientific process. If where your faith or whatever lies is in the Bible, I guess that's fine, but you're not going to be able to convince us because you have no argument beyond this is what I believe. And
Yeah.
we have, forgive me, but
Well, I
the
have
truth
actually
and
the same
science.
evidence which you have. I don't start with the
Hey,
Bible.
Otangelo,
I say that
the people of the
evidence that
Bible,
we
the
look
people who
at-
wrote, listen, the people who wrote the books of the Bible, they did not have that evidence.
No.
They did not have, they had no stake to their claim. In fact, I would say that they had less than we do, for sure. If we're going to talk about like evidence for what we believe, what evidence did the writers of Genesis have for the creation of the universe? How did they know that? They didn't.
And I didn't.
Otangelo,
I
have you
didn't
ever-
start proposing Genesis or the Bible. What I am saying is that the evidence
That's
is
what you
natural,
believe, though.
which we
Like,
have both
come on.
when you
No.
say evidence,
Yeah.
right?
what do you mean? What's the evidence?
What I mean is what we know is that the natural physical world exists, we exist. That demands an explanation in regards of how everything came to be. I don't even invoke the Bible right now. All I am saying that there are two competing hypotheses in regards of how everything came to be. On the one side, there is a God or gods in plural, whatever God or intelligent creator that you want to posit, that doesn't matter right now. And on the other side, there is no God. Okay?
Why does
So
our
you have-
existence
you have
demand
from there.
that? What are you appealing to that says that we have to have this type of explanation? What if there is no explanation? You know, like there's
What if the
other
explanation is
possibilities.
shit
to consider.
happens?
Or what if that explanation is inaccessible to us, right? Like, what if we can't know that?
Well, then the thing is, either there was intelligence involved and necessary to create the physical world or not.
You're
right?
saying either no, I disagree. You can't say either there's intelligence involved and it was necessary. No, I don't think so.
You haven't talked about aliens. Could it be aliens created Earth?
Yeah, like we can play this game all day. We can play this game all day. But there is this. I see this with other apologists as well. This sort of demand that is made that says, look, here is existence. You have to explain this.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have an explanation that completely encompasses everything, then you're wrong. Look, I have a God explanation, and my God explanation explains everything you're seeing. So therefore, my explanation is better because it has more I don't know, explanatory power. I don't know what language they'd use there, but it's not actually something that explains anything. If you're saying that God invented everything, that doesn't explain anything. How did he make rocks or people? What process did he use? There's nothing to say about that. He just snapped his fingers and said it's there. That doesn't explain anything. It's just a story.
Otangelo, have you ever heard of the God of the Gaps? Have you ever heard of that sort of rhetorical?
He definitely has. I know
he's living it.
Well, the God of the Gaps is an argument which atheists bring up in basically every conversation with theists.
I would say it's a pretty compelling argument, which is why we bring it up a lot.
Can I finish, please? I always start with the positive premise. Okay. Now, of course, if you say, okay, God is not necessary, then you have to provide an explanation which tops intelligence in regards of
I really don't, though.
Do you have one?
No, I don't. I don't. And I'm going to let you go now because I already said that I don't. And I don't need one.
Wow, Dan, you just proved God's existence. Congratulations.
Well, look, listen. Like, again, the people who wrote the Bible, they didn't have any better idea than well, I mean, I'd like to think I have a better idea because I have access to the, tools that modern science has given us to understand the world. But like, look, I don't understand this idea that God is just the big explainer for everything. Because if you put God into it, it doesn't explain anything. If you ask a Christian, well, how did God make things? Like, what was how did that happen? There is no how. They just say, well, he made it because he is ultimate and he can do that. That's not an explanation. Mm-hmm. It doesn't explain anything about how anything was made.
Yeah, and it doesn't explain where God came from, like what happened before God. Like I understand that you think that you gotcha'd us just now because we say we don't know exactly how the universe began. But I want you to understand that the fact that we are allowing ourselves to say we don't know and there is more for us to learn, and maybe instead of sitting on our laurels and kind of just accepting whatever somebody believed in 500 years ago must still be true, we're going to continue to progress and we're going to continue to learn. And unfortunately, if your entire payload of your faith is based on the fact that me and Dan can't tell you how the universe began, I don't know. Like, I'm not sure how that's especially affirming of your faith, nor how it's supposed to make us feel like we are talking out of our ass. Like, I don't know.
Listen, if I told you I didn't know how the coronavirus started, does that mean the best explanation was God? No. And that's what tries the universe and everything else. Like that, you don't get to just say, oh, well, this is the best explanation because, well, if God was real, he could make it real. Like, that's not an explanation.
Like, I don't know how my computer works, but that doesn't mean it's not knowable. It just means I don't know.
Yeah, it's foolishness. It's foolishness. And anyway, that's our first Otangelo conversation here. So folks that watch other ACA programs, you may have seen him before call into it. So he just called in Truth Wanted for the first time. So hooray. Oh. That's great. I'm glad you got to be there for that, Jessica.
Oh, it meant a lot to me. Thank you so much.